The stars looked the same from every battleship window. Commander Day One had seen them from hundreds of different ships, above hundreds of different worlds. They never changed. Victory never changed either. It always felt empty. He stood in the command center of the Imperial warship Dominance, his arms crossed behind his back. The planet below glowed blue and green through the massive viewing screen. Another world. Another fight. Another win that meant nothing. "Commander, the planet's government has refused our final offer," the communications officer said. Her voice was steady, but Day One could hear the slight tremor. Everyone was always nervous around him. "Send them my record," Day One said simply. The officer's fingers moved across her console. On screens across the planet below, Day One's fighting history would now be playing. 347 victories. 89 star systems. Not a single loss. Not even a single draw. The images would show him breaking through fortress walls with his bare hands. Him standing alone against entire military units. Him accepting surrender after surrender. Day One's body was more machine than man now. Cybernetic muscles wrapped around reinforced bones. Neural processors that could predict an opponent's move before they made it. Skin replaced with armor plating that could withstand plasma fire. The Empire had spent millions of credits making him into the perfect weapon, and he was perfect. Perfectly empty. "Commander, we're receiving a response from the planet," the communications officer said. They're requesting immediate negotiations. Of course they were. They always did after seeing what he could do. Day One felt nothing. No satisfaction. No pride. Just a familiar numbness that came with being too good at something that didn't matter. "Tell them negotiations are accepted. Prepare my shuttle. Sir, will you need an escort team?" Day One almost smiled. Almost. No, he never needed an escort. That was the point of him. The Empire's ultimate show of force. One man who could end the war just by landing on a planet. It saved them money on troops and equipment. It saved time. It saved Imperial lives. It cost him his humanity, but the Empire didn't care about that. The shuttle bay was cold and bright. Technicians checked his armor systems one last time before deployment. Day One didn't speak to them. He didn't speak to anyone unless he had to. What would he say? What did a weapon talk about? His shuttle descended through the atmosphere. The planet was called Taijin 7, a former colony settled by Korean immigrants 300 years ago. They'd built their world, grown their population, created their own culture. Then the Empire had expanded into their sector. Now they had two choices, join or burn. Most chose to join after meeting. Day One. The landing pad was in the capital city center. Day One expected military units, defensive positions, maybe some show of resistance before the inevitable surrender. Instead, he found an empty platform. Beyond it, he could see city streets. People walked between buildings. Market stalls sold food and goods. Children played in a park. It looked peaceful. It looked normal. Day One's combat systems immediately began scanning. No weapon signatures. No hidden soldiers. No traps. His processors analyzed thousands of data points per second. Everything came back clear. This was wrong. Peaceful planets didn't refuse the Empire. And planets that refused the Empire didn't stay peaceful when he arrived. He walked down the shuttle ramp and into the city. People glanced at him but didn't run. Didn't scream. Didn't panic. An old man nodded at him politely. A woman with a baby smiled and kept walking. Day One's hands clenched into fists. Were they mocking him? Did they not understand what he was? His orders were simple. Find the resistance leaders. Make them surrender. Use whatever force necessary. But how could he find resistance in a city that acted like he didn't exist? Day One walked through a market square. Vendors called out their prices. The smell of cooking food filled the air. Music played from somewhere nearby. His sensors picked up normal civilian life patterns. Nothing suspicious. Nothing military. Then he saw her. She sat behind a small stall selling pottery. Simple clay bowls and cups arranged neatly on a wooden table. She was young, maybe mid-20s. Small frame. Dark hair tied back simply. Plain clothes that matched every other merchant in the market. She looked completely ordinary, except she was watching him. Not with fear. Not with awe. Not with the respect his reputation demanded. She watched him the way someone might watch an interesting bird that landed nearby. Curious, calm, completely unafraid. Day One walked toward her stall. His combat systems analyzed her. No weapons. No cybernetics. No enhanced biology. Just a normal human woman selling pottery. His processors dismissed her as non-threatening, but something made him stop at her stall anyway. "You're the Empire's fighter," she said. Not a question, a statement. Her voice was quiet but clear. "I am Commander Day One. I'm here for the Resistance leaders. Would you like some tea first?" She picked up a simple clay cup from her stall and a small pot. She poured amber liquid into the cup and held it out to him. Day One stared at the cup. His processors couldn't understand this interaction. Every model predicted she should be afraid. Every algorithm said she should run or beg or fight. None of them predicted tea. "I don't want tea. I want information about the Resistance. The tea is very good. I made the cup myself." She continued holding it out to him, her hand perfectly steady. Something about her absolute calm made anger flash through Day One's circuits. How dare she treat him like a normal person? How dare she offer him tea like he was just another customer? Didn't she know what he could do to her? He reached out to grab her wrist, intending to pull her across the stall for interrogation. The world spun. Day One found himself on his back, staring up at the sky. He wasn't hurt. Nothing was damaged. But he was lying on the ground 3 meters from the stall. His combat computers showed nothing. No attack detected. No movement registered. No energy signature recorded. He looked up. The woman stood exactly where she had been, still holding the cup of tea. She was smiling gently. "The ground here is hard," she said. "The tea will help. My name is Hana." For the first time in 10 years, Commander Day One, the Empire's strongest fighter, felt something other than emptiness. He felt confusion. Day One stood up slowly. His systems ran diagnostics. Everything was fine. No damage, no malfunction. But he had been on the ground, and he had no idea how he got there. Hannah still stood behind her pottery stall, the cup of tea in her hand. The smile on her face wasn't mocking. It was gentle, almost kind. That made it worse somehow. "What did you do?" Day One's voice came out harder than he intended. "I didn't do anything. You fell." Hannah set the cup down on the stall. "Please, sit. The tea is getting cold. I don't fall." Day One walked back to the stall. His processors were already analyzing the last 10 seconds, trying to find the moment when she moved, when she attacked. There was nothing. Just a gap in his memory and his body changing position. "Everyone falls sometimes," Hannah said. She pulled a small wooden stool from behind her stall and set it down. Even the Empire's strongest fighter. Day One didn't sit. He didn't understand what was happening, and things he didn't understand were threats. His training said to eliminate threats. But how could he eliminate something he couldn't identify? Market life continued around them. People bought vegetables and cloth and tools. No one seemed to notice that the Empire's most dangerous weapon had just been put on his back by a pottery seller. Or maybe they saw and didn't care. That was almost more insulting. I need information about the resistance, Day One said. You will give it to me, or I will take you to my ship for interrogation. I will give you information, Hana said. But first, T. It's polite. I'm not here to be polite. I know. But I am. She picked up the cup again and held it out. Please. Something in Day One's chest felt tight. Not pain, not malfunction. Something else. Something his cybernetic parts couldn't process. It felt like frustration mixed with curiosity mixed with something he couldn't name. He took the cup. The tea was warm. It smelled like flowers and earth. Day One brought it to his lips and drank. His systems analyzed it immediately. No poison, no drugs. Just tea made from local plants. It tasted good. Better? Hannah asked. It's tea. Yes, but is it good tea? Day One looked at her. Really looked at her. She had a small scar on her left hand. Her clothes were warm but clean. Her eyes were dark and clear. She looked at him like he was a person, not a weapon. When was the last time someone looked at him like that? It's good tea, he admitted. Hana's smile grew. I'm glad. Now, you want to know about the resistance? Yes, there is no resistance. She said it simply, like stating a fact about the weather. My intelligence says otherwise. This planet refused imperial integration. Someone organized that refusal. We refused, Hana said. All of us, together. Is that resistance? We simply said no thank you to your empire. That is resistance. Then I suppose we are all resistors. Hana poured herself a cup of tea. Would you like more information about me? I sell pottery. I live in the Northern District. I enjoy painting and meditation. I am 27 years old. Is this the information you need? Day One felt that tightness in his chest again. You're mocking me. No, I'm answering your questions honestly. Hannah sipped her tea. You asked about the resistance. I told you we all resisted. You asked for information. I'm giving it to you. This isn't what I need. Then, perhaps you should ask different questions. Day One's hand clenched around the cup. He could crush it easily. He could flip the entire stall. He could grab Hana and force her to give real answers. His systems provided 17 different combat options for this scenario. He did none of them. Instead, he asked, How did you put me on the ground? Hannah's eyes brightened like he'd said something clever. Ah, now that is a better question. But it has a complicated answer. Would you like to learn it? Yes. Then you must come with me tomorrow morning, early, before the sun rises. I will show you. Show me now. No, some things cannot be shown. They must be experienced. And experience takes time. Hannah stood up from her stool. Besides, I must close my stall soon. Business hours are ending. Day One looked around. The market was indeed quieting down. Vendors were packing their goods. The crowds were thinning. He had been talking to this woman for nearly an hour. How had that happened? If you don't show me, I will arrest you. You could try, Hana said gently. But I think you would find yourself on the ground again. And you would still not understand how it happened. Wouldn't you prefer to learn instead? Every tactical program in Day One's head screamed that this was a trap. A delay. A trick. He should grab her now and be done with it. But another part of him, a part that wasn't cybernetic or programmed, wanted to know. Needed to know. Where do I meet you? Hana gave him directions to a place in the mountains outside the city. Come alone. Come unarmed. Come ready to learn. I'm never unarmed. Day One gestured to his cybernetic body. Then come ready to forget your arms, Hana said. She began packing her pottery into a wooden box. One more thing, Commander. What? My stall is here every day. If you want more tea, you're welcome to visit. Day One watched her pack up her stall. She moved efficiently, but without rush. Every motion was smooth and deliberate. She didn't waste movement. His combat systems tried to analyze her efficiency, but couldn't create a useful model. She was too simple, too basic, too normal. And yet she had done something impossible. He walked back toward his shuttle, the empty teacup still in his hand. He should throw it away. It was just a clay cup. But he didn't. He carried it back to his ship. That night, in his private quarters aboard the Dominance, Day One sat in the dark. He didn't need to sleep. His cybernetics handled rest through automatic processes. But he sat anyway, holding the clay cup, thinking about tea and pottery, and a woman who smiled when she should have been afraid. His communication console blinked. High Command wanted a status report. Day One ignored it. For the first time in 10 years, the Empire's strongest fighter did something he wasn't ordered to do. He made a choice. He decided to wait until morning. He decided to go to the mountains. He decided to learn. When the sun rose over Tijan 7, Day One took a shuttle to the coordinates Hannah had given him. He found a narrow path leading up into green hills. He followed it alone. The path led to a garden. Trees surrounded a simple wooden building. A small stream ran beside it. The air smelled clean. Morning light filtered through leaves. Hannah sat on a flat stone beside the stream. She wore different clothes now. Simple gray pants and shirt. Her hair was still tied back. She was sitting perfectly still with her eyes closed. Day One's sensors detected one other person. An old man inside the wooden building. No one else. No army, no trap. Just a garden and two people. Hannah opened her eyes. You came. I said I would. Many people say things they don't mean. It's good that you're not one of them. She stood up from the stone. Are you ready to learn why you fell? Day One looked at her. Small, unarmed, normal, impossible. Yes. First, you will breathe, Hannah said. Day One frowned. I already breathe. My systems regulate it automatically. No, your systems breathe for you. You will breathe for yourself. Hannah sat down on the stone again and patted the space beside her. Sit, Day One said. The stone was cool under him. The stream made quiet sounds nearby. Birds sang in the trees. His sensors registered everything as safe and normal. Nothing here was a threat. So why did he feel nervous? Close your eyes, Hannah said. No, that's tactically unsound. Are you at war with this garden? I'm at war with everything. That's what I was made for. Hannah was quiet for a moment. Then she said, that sounds very lonely. Something in Day One's chest hurt. Not damage. Not malfunction. Just hurt. He closed his eyes. Breathe in slowly, Hannah said. Feel the air enter your body. Feel it fill your lungs. Don't let your systems do it. You do it. Day One tried. His cybernetics kept wanting to take over, to optimize his oxygen intake. He had to fight against his own body just to breathe naturally. It was harder than combat. Good, Hannah said. Now breathe out. Slowly. Feel the air leave. They sat like that for a long time. Just breathing. Day One's combat computers kept trying to analyze the situation, to find the tactical advantage, to predict the next move. But there was no next move. Just breath. Just sitting. Just being. You're fighting yourself, Hannah observed. I'm trying to follow your instructions. No, you're trying to control your breathing. I asked you to breathe. These are different things. That doesn't make sense. Open your eyes. That one opened them. Hannah was looking at the stream. Watch the water, she said. He watched. The water flowed over rocks. It didn't fight. It didn't push. It just moved. When it met a rock, it went around. When the path dropped, it fell. When the path leveled, it slowed. The water didn't think about any of this. It just happened. My people have a very old tradition, Hana said. Before we came to this planet, before we went to space, before the Empire existed, we learned to move like water, to be present like air, to stand firm like mountains but yield like grass. We called ourselves many names over the centuries: shadows, silent ones, ninja. Day one knew the word from historical databases. Ancient warriors, extinct, not extinct, quiet. Hannah smiled. We learned to be so quiet that the universe forgot we existed. But we remembered ourselves. An old man emerged from the wooden building. He was small and thin, with white hair and deep wrinkles. He walked with a cane, but his steps were steady. His eyes were sharp and bright. "Hannah, you brought a student," the old man said. "I brought a visitor, Master Taejin. Whether he becomes a student is his choice." Master Taejin looked at Day One with those sharp eyes. Day One felt like the old man could see through his armor plating, past his cybernetics, down to whatever small piece of human was left inside. "The Empire's fighter," Taejin said. "You have killed many people." "Yes." Day One saw no reason to lie. "Do you enjoy it?" "No." "Then why do you do it?" "Because it's what I was made for." Taejin nodded slowly. "A sword thinks the same thing. But a sword can be laid down." "Can you lay yourself down, Commander?" Day One didn't know how to answer that. "Come," Taejin said. "If you want to understand how Hannah put you on the ground, you must first understand yourself. Stand up." Day One stood. Taejin walked around him in a slow circle, examining him like a craftsman examining a tool. "You are very strong." Taejin said, "Yes." "Your body can predict movements before they happen." "Yes." "You can process thousands of attack patterns in seconds." "Yes." And, yet my student defeated you with no attack pattern at all. Why? I don't know. That's why I'm here." Taejin stopped walking. "You are here because you felt something yesterday. Something your systems could not explain. What was it?" Day One thought back to the market, to Hannah smiling, to the tea, to lying on his back with no idea how he got there. Confusion. Confusion is good. Confusion means your mind is trying to grow. Your systems don't like growth. They like patterns. But you are not just your systems. Taejin tapped his cane on the ground. "Attack me." "What?" "You heard me. Attack me. Show me what the Empire's strongest fighter can do." The one looked at the old man. He was small, fragile, unarmed. "I could kill you. You could try, but you won't succeed, and you won't kill me. Attack me with half your strength if you're worried. But attack." Day One's combat systems activated. They mapped the old man's body, predicted movement options, calculated optimal strike points. He could end this in one move. A simple grab or push. Nothing that would actually hurt Taejin, but enough to demonstrate capability. He reached out to grab the old man's shoulder. His hand touched nothing. Taejin was gone. No, not gone. He was standing exactly where he had been. But Day One's hand had somehow missed him completely. His system showed a successful grab. His eyes showed empty air. Again, Taejin said, "Day-1 tried again." Same result. His system said hit. Reality said miss. Again. Day One tried faster. Then harder. Then with more complex attacks. Every single time, his systems registered success. Every single time, he hit nothing. Taejin never moved from his spot. He just stood there, leaning on his cane, watching Day One fail. Finally, Day One stopped. His cooling systems were working hard. Not from physical effort, but from processing strain. His computers couldn't understand what was happening. How? Day one asked. Sit down, Taejin said. They sat together by the stream, all three of them. Hannah poured tea from a pot she had brought. The cups were the same simple clay as the one from yesterday. Your systems predict movement, Taejin said. They read muscle tension, balance shifts, eye direction, breathing patterns. They take all this information and tell you where your opponent will be. Yes, but what if there is no movement to predict? What if there is only stillness? Nothing is completely still. You're right. Nothing is completely still. Everything moves. Air moves. Energy moves. Thoughts move. But what if we move with the movement instead of against it? Taejin sipped his tea. Your hand came toward me. I didn't dodge. I simply stopped being where your hand expected me to be. I existed in the space between your prediction and your action. That's impossible. And yet it happened. Just like Hana putting you on the ground was impossible. But it happened. Taejin looked at Day One with those sharp eyes. The universe is bigger than your systems, Commander. There are things that cannot be measured or predicted. There are ways of being that exist outside programming. Day One drank his tea. It was good tea. Simple but good. You want me to learn this way of being. I want you to remember it, Hana said softly. Before you were the Empire's weapon, you were human. Humans know how to exist in spaces between. Babies do it naturally. But you were taught to forget. If I forget my training, I'm useless. No, Taejin said. If you forget your training, you're human. Humans are never useless. They sat in silence for a while. The stream flowed. The birds sang. The sun rose higher in the sky. Day One's communication console blinked with increasing urgency. High Command wanted reports. They wanted updates. They wanted confirmation that the mission was proceeding. Day One turned the console off. Will you stay and learn? Hannah asked. Day One looked at her. Then at Taejin. Then at the garden around them. Something in him, something small and human and forgotten, whispered yes. I'll stay, he said. For now. Hannah smiled that gentle smile. For now is enough. 3 weeks passed in the mountain garden. Day-1 learned to breathe. Really breathe, without his systems helping. He learned to sit still for hours without his processors analyzing every sound. He learned to move in ways that felt natural instead of optimal. Every lesson was simple. Every lesson was impossibly hard. Master Taejin taught him about emptiness. You are too full, the old man said. Full of programming. Full of orders. Full of purpose. Empty yourself and you will find space for other things. Hannah taught him about awareness. Notice everything but attach to nothing, she said. They would walk through the garden and she would ask what he saw. At first, he reported data. Temperatures, wind speeds, bird species. Gradually, he learned to just see. Green leaves. Smooth stones. Clear water out at night. Day One returned to his shuttle. His communication console was full of angry messages. High Command demanded explanations. Admiral Kyung-ho, his former trainer and mentor, sent personal messages asking what was wrong. The fleet was getting impatient. Day-1 sent back minimal reports. Investigation ongoing. Situation complex. More time needed. They accepted it because he was Commander Day One. He had never failed a mission before. They trusted him. He wasn't sure he deserved that trust anymore. One morning, Hana took him into the city. They walked through streets together. People greeted Hana warmly. They smiled at Day One cautiously. He realized they weren't afraid of him anymore. Word had spread that the Empire's fighter was learning pottery and meditation. He had become a curiosity instead of a threat. Tell me about the resistance, Day One said as they walked. I told you, there is no resistance. Just people who said no, Why did you say no? The Empire offers protection, resources, technology. Most planets join willingly. Hannah stopped at a small park. Children played on simple wooden equipment. Parents watched and laughed. Look at them, she said. Do they need the Empire's protection? Do they look like they lack resources? The Empire would make them safer, stronger, would it? Or would it make them into something else entirely? Hannah sat on a bench. My family came here 300 years ago. We wanted to preserve our traditions, our ways of being. The Empire doesn't preserve things. It transforms them, makes them uniform, makes them useful. Useful isn't bad. No, but being only useful is limiting. Hannah looked at him. You are very useful, Commander. Are you happy? Day One sat beside her. He watched the children play. Their laughter was loud and uncontrolled, inefficient, chaotic, beautiful. No, he said quietly. I'm not happy. When did you stop being happy? Day One thought back. Before the cybernetics. Before the training. Before the Empire found him and made him into their weapon. There had been a version of him that laughed, that played. That was just a boy named Day One, a long time ago. Hannah reached over and took his hand. Her hand was small and warm. Human. You can learn to be happy again. It's not too late. I've killed people, Hannah. I've destroyed cities. I've made planets surrender through fear. How do I come back from that? One breath at a time. One moment at a time. One choice at a time. She squeezed his hand. You can't change what you did, but you can change what you do next. That night, Day One's console received an emergency transmission. Admiral Kyung-ho's face appeared on the screen. He looked older than Day One remembered. Tired. Day One, what's happening down there? Kyung-ho asked. High Command is losing patience. They want results. The situation is complicated, Admiral. I trained you myself. I know you better than anyone. Something has changed. Talk to me. Day One looked at his old mentor. Kyung-ho had found him as a teenager, had recruited him, had overseen every surgery, every enhancement, every transformation from boy to weapon. Kyung-ho had been kind in his way. He had told Day One he was special, important, valuable. I'm learning things, Day One said. Things that weren't in my training. What kind of things? Human things. Kyung-ho was quiet for a moment. Then he sighed. They got to you. The resistance. They're good at this. Making you doubt. Making you feel. It's a psychological tactic. They're not tactics, Admiral. They're people. Living peacefully. They don't want to join the Empire. Why should they have to? Because the Empire brings order, structure, progress. Without us, there's chaos. I've seen their world. There's no chaos here. Just life. Kyung-ho's expression hardened. You're compromised. I'm giving you 48 hours to complete the mission. Make them surrender or I'm sending down a strike force. High Command has authorized extreme measures. What measures? Orbital bombardment, if necessary. The planet refused integration. They've been given chances. If you can't make them surrender peacefully, we'll do it the hard way. Day One felt cold. You would kill millions of people because they said no? I would end a rebellion before it spreads. One defiant planet inspires others. We can't allow that. Kyung-ho leaned closer to the screen. Day One, come back to the ship. Come home. Whatever they've done to you, we can fix it. They haven't done anything to me. They're just teaching me to breathe. 48 hours, Commander. That's an order. The transmission ended. Day One sat in his shuttle, staring at the dark screen. 48 hours. Then bombardment. Then millions dead because they wanted to keep their way of life. because they preferred tea and pottery and gardens to the Empire's order. He had a choice to make. He could complete his mission, force the surrender, save the planet from bombardment, go back to being the Empire's weapon, go back to being useful and empty and alone. Or he could refuse. For the first time in his life, Commander Day One could refuse an order. He thought about Hana's smile, about Master Taejin's lessons, about breathing without his systems, about children playing in parks, about being human instead of useful. He thought about who he had been and who he might become. The choice was terrifying. The choice was obvious. Day One stood up and walked out of his shuttle. He walked through the dark city to the mountain path. He climbed to the garden. Hana and Taejin were awake, sitting by a fire. "The Empire is coming," Day One said. "In 48 hours. If this planet doesn't surrender, they'll destroy it." Taejin nodded slowly. "We knew this was possible. I can't stop a bombardment. I'm just one person." "Yes," Hana said. "You are one person. Not a weapon. Not a tool. A person. And people make choices. I'm choosing to stay here. To stand with you. Even if I can't stop what's coming." Hana stood and walked to him. She reached up and put her hand on his armored chest, right where his human heart still beat underneath all the metal and programming. "Then we'll face it together," she said. Day One looked down at her. This small woman who had put him on his back with no effort, who had taught him to breathe, who looked at him like he was worth more than his combat record. "I don't know how to be anything but a fighter." "Then fight for something that matters," Taejin said. "Not for the Empire. Not for orders. For life. For peace. For people who just want to drink tea and sell pottery." Day One nodded. He didn't know if it would make a difference. He didn't know if one person choosing humanity over programming could change anything. But he knew it was the right choice. The first right choice he had made in 10 years. The next morning, Day One stood in the central plaza of the capital city. Thousands of people had gathered. Word had spread about the Empire's ultimatum. They didn't panic. They didn't riot. They stood together quietly, waiting. Hana stood beside him. Master Taejin was there too, along with a dozen other elders from the mountain communities. They had all come down to face whatever was coming. Day One opened a communication channel to the dominants. Admiral Kyung-ho's face appeared on every public screen in the plaza. "Commander Day One, report," Kyung-ho said. "I have a report, Admiral." Day One stood straight. "The people of Taijin 7 have not surrendered. They will not surrender, and I will not force them." Silence. Then Kyung-ho's expression shifted from confusion to understanding to anger. "You're defecting. I'm choosing. You're a traitor. I'm a human being. I forgot that for a while. These people reminded me." On the screens, Kyung-ho stood up. Behind him, Day One could see the bridge crew of the dominants scrambling to process what was happening. The Empire's perfect weapon was refusing orders. "You know what happens now," Kyung-ho said quietly. "Yes, I have to follow my orders. I know. Day One, please, come back to the ship. We can say you were compromised. We can fix this." "There's nothing to fix, Admiral. I'm not broken. For the first time in years, I'm whole." Kyung-ho closed his eyes. When he opened them, the kindness was gone. Only duty remained. Strike fleet, prepare orbital bombardment. Target the capital city. Hana stepped forward. "Admiral Kyung-ho, I am Hana of Taijin 7. I request permission to speak." Kyung-ho looked at her. This small woman on a screen. "What could you possibly say?" "I wish to offer a challenge. An old tradition. Single combat. If your champion wins, we surrender. If our champion wins, you leave us in peace. You want trial by combat?" Kyung-ho almost laughed. Against the Empire's military? Against one fighter. Your best, our best. Witnessed by both our people. The old way. Kyung-ho looked at Day One. She knows you were our best. Is this a joke? She's serious, Day One said. And she's the one who will fight. Now Kyung-ho did laugh. A civilian woman against an Imperial combat specialist? This is ridiculous. Then you have nothing to lose by accepting, Hana said calmly. Except maybe your pride when you lose. The plaza crowd murmured. Kyung-ho's face reddened. He was being challenged by an unarmed civilian. If he refused, he looked like a coward. If he accepted and lost, he looked like a fool. But he couldn't lose. No normal human could defeat Imperial combat training. Fine, Kyung-ho said. Send down your best fighter. We'll end this farce quickly. The transmission paused while the Imperial shuttle descended. Day One turned to Hana. Are you sure about this? No, she said honestly. But being sure is overrated. Being present is what matters. The Imperial shuttle landed. The hatch opened. A man stepped out wearing full combat armor. Lieutenant Min-soo, one of the Empire's elite soldiers. Not as enhanced as Day One had been, but still far beyond normal human capability. He could punch through concrete. His reflexes were 15 times faster than baseline. His armor could withstand direct weapons fire. He looked at Hana in her simple clothes and laughed. This is your champion? I am, Hana said. I don't want to hurt a civilian. You won't. The plaza cleared a large circle. Thousands watched in person. Millions more watched on screens across the fleet. This would be transmitted across the Empire. The rebellion's end or the Empire's humiliation. Min-soo took a combat stance. His systems activated. His armor hummed with power. He looked like a predator preparing to strike. Hana stood normally, relaxed, breathing steadily. Her hands hung loose at her sides. Begin, Admiral Kyung-ho's voice announced from the screens. Min-soo moved fast. Faster than human eyes could follow. His armored fist shot toward Hana's head, pulling the strike at the last second to avoid killing her. He was arrogant, but not cruel. His fist hit nothing. Hana was standing 2 steps to the left. Min-soo's sensors showed a successful hit. Reality showed empty air. The crowd gasped. Min-soo spun and kicked. His foot could crack steel. Hana leaned backward slightly. The kick passed millimeters from her face. She didn't look worried. She looked like she was dancing. Min-soo attacked again. And again. And again. Punches, kicks, grapples, takedowns. Every single attack missed. Not by much. Just enough. Hana moved like water flowing around rocks. Like air moving away from grasping hands. Like shadow slipping through fingers. She never attacked back. She just wasn't where he expected. Min-soo's breathing became labored. His cooling systems worked overtime. He was fighting an opponent who didn't exist in his tactical predictions. Every sensor said hit. Every attack missed. It was like fighting a ghost. Stand still, Min-soo shouted. Why? Hana asked calmly. You're the one moving. He charged at her with full force, abandoning technique for raw power. Hana stepped to the side at the last moment. Min-soo's momentum carried him past her. He stumbled, off balance. Hana gently pushed his shoulder as he passed. The small push became a fall. Min-soo crashed to the ground in his heavy armor. He tried to get up. His systems reported no damage, no malfunction. But his body wouldn't respond. He had exhausted himself fighting empty air. He collapsed, conscious but unable to continue. The plaza was silent. Hana walked over to Min-soo and knelt beside him. You fought well. Rest now. On the screens, Admiral Kyung-ho's face was pale. Around him, the bridge crew stood in shocked silence. The one stepped forward. You saw, Admiral. She won. Honor the agreement. This is impossible. I thought the same thing once. But impossible just means you don't understand it yet. Kyung-ho looked at the screens showing the plaza, showing Hana helping Min-soo to his feet, showing thousands of civilians who had just watched one of their own defeat an Imperial soldier without throwing a single punch. What is she? Kyung-ho whispered. She's human, Daewon said. Just human. That's what makes her so strong. The transmission was still broadcasting across the fleet. Thousands of Imperial soldiers were watching. Daewon could see it in Kyung-ho's eyes. The Admiral was doing the same calculation Daewon had done weeks ago. If this was what humans could do when they remembered their true nature, what did that mean for an empire built on making humans into weapons? I'm withdrawing the fleet, Kyung-ho said finally. But this planet is marked. No trade, no contact. You're on your own. We always were, Hana said. But thank you for honoring your word. The transmission ended. The Imperial shuttle took Min-soo and left. Within hours, the fleet departed orbit. They left behind only questions and confusion. That night, there was a celebration in the city. Music played. Food was shared. People laughed and danced and told stories about the day their champion defeated the Empire without fighting. Daewon sat with Hana and Taejin in the mountain garden, away from the noise. You're not celebrating, Taejin observed. I'm still processing, Daewon said. The Empire won't forget this. They'll find other ways to pressure this world. Perhaps, Hana said. But today, we showed them something they had forgotten. We showed them that humans are more than weapons and tools. We're more than our programming. Maybe that memory will spread. Already messages are coming in from other worlds, Taejin said. They saw what happened. They want to learn. Soldiers from the fleet are requesting permission to stay here instead of returning to service. Daewon looked at his hands. His cybernetic hands. What about me? I'm still mostly machine. I can't undo what the Empire did to me. You can undo what they made you believe, Hana said. You're already doing it. Over the following weeks, Daewon began the slow process of removing his combat cybernetics. Not all of them. He needed some to live. But the weapon systems, the tactical processors, the combat prediction programs, all of it came out piece by piece. Each removal hurt. But it also felt like freedom. He learned to make pottery from Hana. His first cup was terrible, lopsided, and rough. Hana said it was perfect. He learned to teach from Taejin. Soldiers who had defected from the Empire came to learn the old ways. Daewon showed them how to breathe, how to be still, how to remember their humanity. 3 months after the day, he met Hana in the market. Daewon sat in the garden watching the sunset. Hana sat beside him. They didn't need to talk. Just sitting together was enough. Are you happy? She asked eventually. Daewon thought about it. Really thought about it. He wasn't the Empire's strongest fighter anymore. He wasn't Commander Daewon. He was just a man learning to make tea and pottery in peace. Yes, he said. I think I am. Hana smiled and took his hand. They sat together as the sun set over Taijin 7. The stars came out one by one. The same stars Daewon had seen from battleship windows for years. But they looked different now. They looked beautiful and for the first time in 10 years. Former Commander Daewon, the Empire's strongest fighter who had met a ninja and never fought again, felt completely and perfectly at peace.